Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we'll be learning about constants and variables. So let's get into it. In this lesson, we'll be learning what are constants and variables, when to use them and why. And third, we'll be looking at some code examples regarding them. So let's get into it. So let's understand the difference between constants and variables. So let me open Xcode. I hope you have installed Xcode. If not, please check the video where I have already installed Xcode. I have laid down all the steps. So this is Xcode. This is a new version. Now, if you have to go to file, these things it will not be there in your app because in your project these files will not be there because this is my project. So you have to go from file and then new, then playground. If you click on playground, you will have this blank. You have to click on next, then name this as constants and variables. Try not to put any spaces between them, okay, because like file name should not have any white spaces. So you can write it like this, and we can create in any folder you want. So this is your playground. Let me maximize this. Okay. So you already have some custom stuff written here. Let me remove all these things. So this is your playground. Here we will write Swift code. Okay. So now let us understand constants and variables. So constants is something that you cannot change. Like for example, your name or your birth year. Okay. So let's, for example, if your birth year is 1997, you cannot change that, right? Like today, if your birth year is 1997, tomorrow it can't be changed to 2000, 2001. It can't be. So that is a constant. But a variable can be considered as your age. Your age can be a variable, okay, because every year your age increases. So it is changing, which means age can be termed as variable. So how in Swift, what happens is that how you declare constants and variables. So for example, if you are taking birth year as a constant, the way you can tell your Swift compiler, now what is a compiler, we'll get to that later, but you can tell your Swift playground now for now that I want to initialize a constant. So you can write let. So let is the keyword. It's a keyword, okay, and that's why you have this different color. And then you write the constant name, birth year, and you initialize it as whatever the value is. Okay, now since you have already written it like this, like you already mentioned it that the birth year is 1907, you can't change it later on. Okay, so before that, let us also initialize a variable. So variable will be the var keyword. So this is var and age. Okay, so age, let's say writing 28. Okay, so age can change. Today maybe your age is 28, next it will be 29, then 30, and so age can change. So I can change the age like this. Okay, you have to initialize it only once, and after you have initialized it, you can change the value. Okay, but for birth year, once you have already initialized, you cannot change it. Let's see, birth year equal to 2001. If I try to do this, it is giving you an error. So giving cannot assign to value. Birth year is a let constant, which means Swift is telling us, Swift is intelligent, it is telling us that you have already mentioned that birth year is a constant, so you can't give it a variable type attribute. Okay, so you can't do this. Now this is one function, print. You just want to print the value of it. Okay, so I want to print age, and I want to print birth year. Okay, Now here you already have a play button. If you click on it, it will give you the value. It will print the value of it. It will take some time here. And now this is the result. So you can see birth year was initially 1987 and then age was 28. And as I also mentioned that age is a variable, so you can change the value of age. So now I've changed the value to 29, and now when I'm printing age, it gives me 29 here. You see 29 and then 27. These are the results of on which line the result was at that time. So at this time it was 1997, age was 28 initially, then I changed to 29, and when I print it, it's 29 and the birth year is 1997. So it just shows the working. Now if I again change the age to 30 and I try to change the birth year, as I already mentioned before that you can't change the birth year because it's a constant. So this is how you will initialize or you will declare a constant using the let keyword, and if you have to declare a variable you have to use the var keyword. Okay, so let us take another example. I will use the value of pi. Okay, so pi is a constant. The value of pi does not change. It will always remain as 3.14. Okay, so now let us say that you can use var keyword instead of let here. Okay, compiler will not give you any problem here. Like if you want to, because you're not changing it. So if you print it here, it will give you the value of 3.14. But I will suggest not to use var keyword for those places where a constant is needed. Why? Because of memory efficiency. Like take for example your compiler or maybe like Swift Playground. Okay, so Swift Playground, if you tell the playground, if you tell Swift that okay, this particular thing is a constant, it does not have to check every time whenever whenever it tries to print the value. Okay, so when Swift is trying to print the value, it will know that it is, you have given it a promise that okay, pi is a constant, so it will print the value directly. Okay, it won't have to do any more calculation something. But in terms of variable, let's say for example in terms of variable, okay, so I'm initializing a variable of age of 28 and then I'm printing it. Now let me print it. So yeah, as you can see, first the value it was 28, then so at this point at line number 6, at this time Swift compiler will check whether the value of age has changed or not. Okay, so it will go and check, and it will say okay, the value is 28, it is printed. Then I'm changing the value of 29. And again when I'm trying to print the value of age, it will again go and check in the memory that it has changed or not, and it has changed, so it will give the updated value. Okay, so in this case where the value will change, so at that time you have to use var keyword. Okay, but if you know that a particular value will not change, like for example the value of pi will not change, it will always be 3.14, then at that time make it let, so that compiler does not have to go and check every time whether the value has changed or not. What is the benefit of it? When compiler does not have to check more than once that what the value of a box of a variable or something of a constant, then it does not have to go and check every other time, which means it is very much memory efficient. So this is why it is suggested that if you know beforehand a particular thing is a constant, use let keyword, and if you know that okay, a value will change, then use var keyword for this. So before wrapping up constants and variables, let us see how they can be declared. So there are two types or two ways in which constants or variables can be declared. So the first way we have already seen, that you can declare, for example, let us declare two constants, like maybe const 1 and then const 2. So these are two constants. I'm declaring them in separate line. Okay. Or you can do like this, just say const 3 and const 4, sorry, const 3 equal to 30, const 4 equal to 40. Yeah. So you can declare it like this. You can either declare two constants in separate line, or you can declare two constants in the same line, provided you put a comma as a separator and the value name. But this meant it has to be constant as well. Like the same thing can be done for variable. So let me say where 1 equal to 100, variable, then variable 2, and can declare another variable 200. Okay, so this is one way you can declare variables like in separate line, or if you want to declare in the same line, you can do something like this. So in this case, you did not have to mention for var4 again with a var keyword. Okay, but which is not allowed is that doing like this. Let's say taking a constant, and I'm also trying to declare a variable here. So this is not allowed. It will give an error that var cannot appear nested inside another var or let pattern. So which means this is a pattern. Okay, when I started like this, so all of them will be having constant value, or all of them will have a variable value if you're trying to declare it in a single line. But if you're trying to declare two different types of data, like one will be a constant data, another variable data in the same line, that is not allowed. So you have to be aware of this. In the next video, we'll talk about type annotations. So we'll see you in the next video. Till then, keep practicing and see you. Bye bye.